Only 16 days until you choose a new governor. First, we had Oz Griebel, then Bob Stefanowski. Today, our one-on-one with Ned Lamont. What will the Democrat do if elected? And what about those attack ads that say he'll raise taxes? We'll ask Lamont what he really plans to do. This Sunday morning, October 21st, 2018.
From Eyewitness News, Connecticut's most watched local political program, this is Face the State.
Good morning, everyone. It's 8:30 on this Sunday morning. Thanks for joining us for Face the State. I'm Dennis House. Only 16 days until Election Day, and yet still many of you are undecided. All of this month, we've been conducting in-depth interviews with the three candidates for governor. We had Bob Stefanowski last week, Oz Griebel 2 weeks ago, and today we are joined by Ned Lamont. He is 64 years old, a telecommunications executive. He ran a telecommunications company, ran for Senate in 2006, and governor in 2010. And he's with us here today. Mr. Lamont, thank you for being...
Hi, Dennis. Great to be back.
We see you all the time in commercials.
Lucky you.
Both one's done by you and one's done by your opponent. I want to ask you about that because Mr. Stefanowski is hammering this message, just saying, I will cut your taxes, Ned will raise your taxes. And that, he says it over and over again. So I'm going to ask you, just point blank, will you raise taxes?
Bob will cut taxes for the 400 richest families in the state by $1.3 billion. And you know who's going to pay for that? It'll be the middle class in terms of property taxes going up and cuts to their school and education. I've been very clear about what I'm going to do and what I'm not going to do. We're going to hold the line on the income tax. I'm not going to raise rates on the income tax, not going to raise rates on the sales tax. What we are going to do is when it comes to paying for transportation, we'd have electronic tolling just on the tractor trailer trucks, $250 million so we can fix our roads and bridges and make our transportation advantaged in the state so we can get around and people can get to work easier. But I've been very clear about what I'm going to do and not do. Listen to what I have to say about what I'm going to do, and Bob should talk about what he wants to do.
We'll talk about tolls in just a moment. So when these ads say that you're going to raise taxes, is that a yes or no?
That's a no. I mean, I'm not raising any tax rates on income tax, not raising tax rates on sales tax. Look, if it's sports betting, yes, perhaps we'd put a tax on that. But if it's tolling on big trucks, perhaps there'd be a toll on that. But we're not raising people's rates.
As you know, that Mr. Stefanowski has also been saying that you want to create a statewide property tax on cars. Is that accurate?
No, that's wrong again. What we would do is replace the 169 taxes, property tax, they put on cars, and replace that with 1 mil around the rest of the state. That would mean that 80% of drivers in this state would have a cut in their property tax in their car. The richer communities would pay a little bit more. But we're replacing the local property tax with a statewide just on cars, and that results in a big cut in property taxes on cars.
But will that be a result, drop in revenue to the state? How do you make up for that?
No, on the contrary. We'd set the mill rates so that each and every town is held harmless so they still get the same amount of revenue. What's unfair about it right now is, a tourist in Greenwich would pay a tax of $500, and that exact same car in Ansonia would be $1,000, and that same car in Bridgeport would be $1,500. It's a very regressive way to do it. I'm going to bring down the property tax on cars for about 80% of drivers in this state.
You have said that Dan Malloy made some mistakes in office. Do you foresee any situation that you might want to roll back, maybe rescind a tax that he put into place?
Yeah, we're going to replace the property tax credit. He raised the property taxes a little bit for everybody. I'm going to bring that down. $300 property tax cut for you in the first cycle and $1,500 in the second cycle. So while Bob is going to raise property taxes for people, I'll be reducing the property tax. That's the biggest tax paid by the middle class. It's the biggest tax paid by small business. And it's a way to tell the taxpayers we get it. We know this state is expensive, and we know that for seniors in particular, you're having a hard time staying in your home if you're on a fixed income and your property tax is going up. I'm going to bring it down.
As you know, the income tax rate is higher now than it was when Lowell Weicker first signed it into law back in 1991. Is there any plan in the Lamont plan, perhaps, to get it back to that lower level?
I first got to balance the budget. I wish I could overpromise or outpromise everybody else and eliminate $11 billion, eliminate the income tax. But that is just a false promise, as David Stemmerman said. It's not possible.
So you don't
John
think you can do it at
Rowland
all, Mr.
found that.
Stefanowski? Can't do it at all. Can't lower that tax. You don't.
Can't eliminate the income tax? No. First and foremost, I'm going to follow what the Fiscal Commission said. Remember, it was the Fiscal Commission on fiscal stability and economic growth. And first, I've got to stabilize the budget. And I'm going to do that by holding the line on the income tax and reducing the property tax. But I cannot eliminate the income tax. That's a fake promise.
Both of your opponents, Bob Stefanowski and Oz Griebel, have promised to eliminate the business entity tax. Not really a lot of money in the big picture of things, but they say we'll send a message to companies that Connecticut means business. They want to be more business friendly. Can you eliminate that if you're governor?
I'd eliminate that as well. Absolutely. It's a nuisance tax. It's sort of a disrespect for small business. Doesn't really raise any money. I would eliminate tax. And the other tax I said I got to get rid of is the property tax, up to, say, $10,000 in property. For the small business, it's a nuisance, having assessors coming in and counting the number of copiers or printers you've got. We're going to get rid of that tax as well.
You mentioned tolls. Republicans say it's just another word for tax. How is a toll not a tax?
The gasoline tax is disappearing as a source of revenue to fix our roads and bridges and have more frequent and regular rail service. And when GE left, they said one of the key reasons they're leaving is because your transportation system in this state is a mess. So you need a governor who's going to be honest about what it takes to fix the roads and bridges. I fixed that bridge. All of a sudden, the trains can go over it faster, cuts the commute time from New Haven to Stamford to New York by 5-10 minutes. It makes a dramatic difference. So I have said we're going to put a tax on just the big tractor trailer trucks coming in and out of the state. The exact same thing, Dennis, as Gina Raimondo is doing it in Rhode Island. It would raise that electronic toll, nothing overhead, you don't see anything, you go right through, doesn't impact cars, doesn't impact our drivers, but that's what they're doing in Rhode Island. And for Connecticut, it'll raise about $250 million a year when fully implemented. That allows me to fix a lot of roads and bridges.
So you don't foresee a toll on ordinary drivers?
I don't foresee that at all.
Is that a pledge you want to make today, that that will not happen?
That's a pledge that's not going to happen. I'm going to do tractor-trailer trucks. That's
no
what we're gonna
tolls
do.
for regular passenger cars?
No tolls for regular passenger cars.
Let's talk a little bit about, you have said that you want to sit down with the union workers, state union workers, and you want to ask for concessions. Specifically, what kind of concessions will you ask for?
Look, I'm not asking for concessions. What I am saying is I need business and labor and Republicans and Democrats at the table. No good playing the blame game, blaming former governors, blaming state employees. That doesn't do any good at all. I have a structural deficit that I've got to solve. So as I've said on many occasions, one of the things I'd like to do is ways that we can reform delivery of health care. Ways we can bring down the high cost of pharmaceuticals, ways we can use our purchasing power to drive down those drug costs. For me, that would bring down the cost of the state employee health plan. It would be good for our state employees, it'd be good for workers across the state, and save the taxpayers some money as well. That's what I've got to try and do.
We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be back with more from Ned Lamont after this commercial break, and we welcome you to watch past editions of Face the State on our YouTube channel or on WFSB.com or our app.